The internet computer just proved that it can compete. What do I mean by that? A lot of people like to say that, oh wow, the internet computer is so slow, it can't compete. I arguably don't agree with that because did you know that it was recently stated how ICP was the fastest blockchain across the 7 day period? And this was like a very recent post indicating how actually it recorded 2,637 transactions per second in this week. Pretty impressive. And this is actually a post by BSC News, and they actually showcased this statistic. I find it to be very impressive. Now, I'll explain in today's video my thoughts on this and why I think it can actually compete with the other competitors, even though nothing I say is financial advice, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and this is just purely my perspective. But again, I think that statistic right there does debunk this myth that the internet computer can't really compete. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to become more popular. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have more adoption. It doesn't mean that. But at least it can compete from a fundamental standpoint of view. Keep in mind, during a time like this, when a lot of people are leaving from the retail side of things, a lot of enterprises, a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, they're taking a look at what is still thriving fundamentally. A lot of these developers, they're taking a look at stuff like this. So yes, maybe in the retail side of things, people have left, but a lot of people out there are still looking into this space. It doesn't mean they're entering as of right now, in a massive way at least, but they're still looking. So this type of stuff really does matter. Again, when we think about, okay, what is the fastest blockchain basically across a 7 day period not too long ago, people don't usually think about the internet computer. That's kind of almost one of the last things that comes to mind typically. Because if I ask just a lot of my friends, oh, what's the fastest blockchain you think? They're probably going to say, oh, maybe Sui, maybe Solana, maybe Ethereum. Again, some may say that, but people don't really think about the internet computer. People are probably going to go through like 20 or 30 different options before they mention this in some cases. But I think if anything, that kind of showcases the underrated qualities that the internet computer may have, because it's not oftentimes we think about the internet computer in this way, but allegedly from the statistics, it's very impressive. A lot of enterprises out there, they prioritize speed. The reason why is because some of these enterprises out there, they're operating in industries that have razor thin margins. Any sort of slight advantage that they could have over their competitor, that matters a lot in some cases. And if they want to adopt new technology, they usually want it to be fast. They don't want it to be slow. They want it to be very efficient. So is the internet computer the most popular? No. But usually these enterprises, they care more about the fundamentals as opposed to the popularity. And the internet computer is waiting right there. It's waiting right there for mass scale adoption. It just hasn't seen it yet. But fundamentally, it's already prepared. It can actually compete with some of the other bigger players out there, in my opinion, statistically speaking and fundamentally speaking. It just really hasn't had the chance to receive that type of attention. That's really about it. But it's ready to go, in my opinion, in terms of the pure fundamentals. But it just hasn't had that chance yet. When will it come? I mean, I can't control that. We'll wait and see. But I think preparation beats being lazy. You know, sometimes people like to tell me that luck is oftentimes perceived as hard work meeting the right opportunity. And when I take a look at in the case of the internet computer, for mass scale adoption, sometimes if that wave comes, the ones that are ready, they're the ones that typically go along with the ride. Take a look at Amazon. When that e-commerce wave really set in, they were waiting right there. They already put in the work, they already put in the dedication, and when that chance basically came, when that wave really arrived, people viewed it as luck because they're like, oh wow, take a look at Amazon. It just went along with the ride like that. But people sometimes don't consider the fundamentals that it had in order to be able to catch that properly and actually be able to capitalize on that sort of wave and really take it to the next level. That's the thing. People don't usually consider that sometimes, but when it comes to Dfinity, what they're doing with the internet computer, I find it to be very impressive, and especially when it comes to Caffeine AI, pretty impressive as well. It's already in version 3, by the way. Pretty amazing, right? It's a self-writing apps platform that, you know, can simplify developers, I guess, process in terms of developing and creating apps. I think that's a total game changer right there. Again, that hasn't seen the best adoption, but if we take a look at Dfinity being really focused on the cloud market as of late as well, it's kind of this combination, in which case, if there is that wave later, I like how Dfinity is kind of positioning the Air computer to maybe catch that. But we haven't really seen, again, the chance. But only time will tell. But as of right now, when I take a look at ICP being below $3, being around $2.55 basically, if people like to say, wow, this is bad, okay, I get it from a chart perspective, but if something became better, arguably, and if something is actually pretty good, and yet the charts are low, I have zero complaints. The reason being is because if something in real life became better, yet let's say it became cheaper, would I complain? No, it wouldn't make sense, right? Like if let's say the home had more square footage, yet the price went down, how would that be a bad thing? I'd actually really like it. But that's usually not how it works in real life. But sometimes when it comes to space, projects, they keep developing, they keep doing things, but yet the charts are just low because the market sentiment isn't the best. So it doesn't really operate in the same way we usually think about other markets. But if anything, I don't mind. Because if I can accumulate my favorite project at a lower point than before, I have zero complaints. For me, seeing ICP at around $2.55, it feels like a throwback. It feels a little bit like a time machine, even though it really isn't. But it's just a metaphor, right? It's a figure of speech. The reason why I think that way is because if we just consider ICP historically speaking, back in 2023, ICP was hovering at around $5. At points, it went to around $4 and stuff like that. But we have to consider, right now, we're literally lower than multiple points in which we've seen in 2022 and 2023, which is kind of ridiculous, actually. Keep in mind, ICP, in terms of its all-time low, it's $1.98. Keep in mind, we're just like basically 57 cents higher than its all-time low. Just 57 cents. If I even want to think about this in a more practical way, people like to sometimes tell me, well, what happens if you dollar cost average and it goes lower? Well, okay, maybe I dollar cost average and ICP goes back to its all-time low, which is $1.98, but let's just say for simplicity's sake, it's $2. Okay, let's say it goes to $2. What can I do about it? But keep in mind, if it goes back to where it once was in 2024, it's almost $19. So yeah, sure, it could have a pullback, but really how low? Okay, if it goes back to its all-time low, I mean, we're not even too far off that anyways. It is what it is, personally for me. But the ceiling seems a little bit far, historically at least. Because we've seen ICP reach almost $19 in 2024. It's not like we haven't seen it before. We just literally saw it around 2 years ago. Which I get, it may seem like quite a while, but I'm saying still. So when it comes to almost $19, it's not a dream. It's not something we've never seen before. Again, we've seen that before, and we've also seen that the all-time low is pretty close to where it is as of right now. So yeah, sure, in theory, if I dollar cost average, it could go lower, but if it goes, back to its all-time low, okay, I suppose. But the ceiling, though, it seems a little bit far, at least hypothetically to me. So this is why I actually don't mind, but I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But I'm only dollar cost averaging once a month, so it's not like I'm trying to, care about this like on a minute basis, on an hourly basis, on a weekly basis. I'm more so thinking about the long term. Of course, I care about the news and the updates when it comes to this, but I'm not super obsessed with the price charts, like in a sense where I'm caring about what happens every couple minutes or every couple hours or every couple days. That's not really me. What I'm trying to do is just, again, keep it consistent and just wait. I mean, we're over 6 times lower than where we once were in 2024. If it goes back to that, I'm already like celebrating. Dfinity doesn't seem to be playing around, in my opinion. So again, when people like to ask the question, oh, where did that $500 million in research and development go? Well, we're seeing the effects. ICP recorded 2,637 transactions per second this week. Really impressive. That, again, is according to data by ChainSpect, and it was actually reported by BSC News. So let's just let that sink in. We're not talking about, oh, it was like the 10th fastest. No, it was allegedly, just to reiterate, the fastest blockchain this week. Kind of impressive considering how much competitors are out there. Solana's out there, the BNB chain's out there, Ethereum's out there. We take a look at Cardano, Algorand, Avalanche. There's so many. And again, the Internet Computer allegedly being the fastest blockchain this week, recording 2,637 transactions per second. Wow. That's just really impressive. And again, a lot of developers do care about that. And if developers choose to build on here, and let's say whatever they build gains traction, it's kind of like going along with the ride. Usually where they build kind of goes along with whatever gains traction. If anything, I don't think it's a bad thing when it comes to the Internet Computer. If more developers, if more enterprises are caring about ICP as a result of that recent statistic, I don't see what's so bad about it. But I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. However, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.